If you struggle with low back pain, I've got something I want you to try during the day to see if we can't get rid of that low back pain once and for all. Let's discuss. When it comes to low back pain, a lot of us misunderstand the difference between where the pain is coming from and what the source of the pain actually is. We refer to that differentiating between the site of the pain and the actual source of the pain, So like in this case, when you're dealing with a low back pain, most of us initially think that we need to stretch and or strengthen our lower back. And that could obviously be the case. This is where going and working with a good massage therapist that can get in there, and massage therapist, chiropractor, physical therapist, get in there and understand, is there a discrepancy between the strength and the flexibility of your lower lumbar? That could always be an issue. In my experience, most low back pain, ironically, is going to be because of tight quadriceps. If you think about the quadriceps, they insert at the top of the pelvis in the front. They insert in what we refer to as the AS. It's just an acronym. Anterior superior iliac crest of the spine. It's essentially the top front of your pelvic girdle. Now, the reason why the context of that is so incredibly important is because if I can get you to start doing some foam rolling on the front of the legs, your quadriceps, what that's going to do is that's going to relieve the pressure in the belly of the tissue. That's going to allow the pelvis to come up into what we refer to as anatomic neutral. Because when the pelvis is being pulled down and forward, that creates that curvature in the small of your lower back known as lordosis. What I want to talk about in this video is what can you do if you have a job that has you standing on a regular basis and that low back is just giving you fits during the day. When you get a moment, if you're watching this video or listening to this video when you're driving, when you get to a place where you can stand, what I want you to do is I want you to do what we refer to as the torquing of the femur. Big fancy word for your thigh muscle. So what you want to do is you want to literally imagine planting your feet and laterally turning your feet outward. And what you're going to notice is if you look at the pelvic girdle, you have the head of the femur, that bone that protrudes on the side out here. What you're trying to do is you're trying to torque the head of the femur inside the pelvic girdle. Now, if you look at the anatomical chart here, you'll see the deep lateral rotators. They do exactly what we say. They laterally rotate the head of the femur. Now, what this is going to do is when you literally press your feet down and you turn your feet outward, it's going to engage those muscles. And then if you do the opposite, you're going to turn your feet, press down and turn your feet inward. That's what we call medial rotation. It's going to then stress the tissue the other direction. Is there one way better than the other? No. What we want to see is, do you get any kind of an alleviation of that low back pain while you're standing? This is what we call torquing of the hips. So the next time your low back's bothering you when you're standing, just turn your feet inward. If that doesn't alleviate it, try turning your feet outward. Just keep toggling back and forth. Now, something else that you might want to take into consideration is when you're sitting down, I want you to take a tennis ball, something that's nice and soft surface, and I want you to literally put that right in underneath where your sit bone is at. So as you're watching this, if you'll reach down, feel the two bones at the bottom of your hips, which, by the way, this is where your high hamstring attachments are at. When you hear somebody say they have a high hamstring tear or strain, that's where the attachments are coming in. So think about this. If the pelvis is being pulled down and forward, that's going to take the bottom of the pelvis and tilt it upward, which makes the hamstrings become extremely hypertonic. So while you're sitting at a desk, what you can do is you can take that tennis ball, put it right into the meat of your butt muscles, and you're going to find some hot spots in there. And the problem that we run into is your glutes. The two muscles that make up the shape of your butt are known as gluteus maximus and gluteus minimus. Well, unfortunately, we've got to get through those two superficial muscles before we can get into those deep lateral rotators. Now, if your low back is bothering you, we want to be able to torque our feet outward or inward. If the muscles are already hypertonic, it could actually make your lower back even tighter. So we don't want to just say one thing fits all, right? It might be a strength or a flexibility issue in your lower back. It could be tight quads. All you know is that you've got low back pain. So medially and laterally rotate your hips. Use a tennis ball. Once you get to a point where you're not feeling any hot spots, go ahead and move to a firmer ball like a lacrosse ball, one of the solid rubber balls. And then try to make the seat as, I literally sit on a wooden chair all day long because I always have a lacrosse ball working in my glutes and hamstrings, and then I have a tennis ball and a lacrosse ball in the arch of my feet while I'm sitting at my desk. When we bring this conversation back full circle, please always remember there's a difference between the site of the pain and the source of the pain. So what we want to do is see if we can get some kind of relief by turning the head of the femur and then start going after the muscles that may be tight inside the pelvic girdle like that around the head of the femur. I hope this helps relieve some of your pain. There's nothing worse than being in pain all day long. If you have a question that we could answer here, we'd love to help. contact@coachrob.com. We're answering emails every day here on YouTube, so please remember to like and subscribe. I deeply appreciate your time watching this video today, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.